So for first-time home buyers, it's very difficult to get into the market. But one of the things that we always say is you gotta get your foot in the door. And we started looking into some articles, getting a better understanding of what's been happening and how a lot of first-time home buyers are buying. And you'll be very surprised to find out a lot of people are getting help. And we're gonna be diving deeper into that today. I'm Bawanka with the Compass team.
And it's Safraz with the Compass team.
And yeah, we're just going to be talking about some news articles that we've looked at and just getting a better understanding of how people are getting into the market and if they're getting help from families and how you're able to do something like that because a lot of people don't know and people do ask us all the time, how are people getting into the market? So Safras, the first thing that I want to touch on is one of the things that we read is that homeowners now, like anybody under 35 years of age, they're two times as likely to have gotten help from somebody in their family compared to back in the day. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's definitely because if you look at, the trends over, let's call it, 35 years, right? Back then, many a times on a single salary or, a primary, income earner and a part-time income earner, you could go and buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
Like not we're not talking condos. We're just talking you could buy a standard semi-detached house on the subway line in Toronto, whereas in now even with two incomes, the price difference, like the price from income to purchase price, the ratio is like way different. Whereas, sometimes we look at, 30 years ago in the 1990s, people are like, interest rates were 18%. Absolutely. I was looking at it yesterday. It was
Mm-hmm.
18%, 100%. That's really high. I haven't seen it in my like teenage to adult lifetime. But the big difference is the cost of the same home has gone up, 4 or 5x. Whereas in, incomes, even compared to then, has maybe doubled, right? So it's, a lot of people have great incomes in Toronto, but it's that's really the truth. It's home prices maybe have 10x example, but your income has maybe doubled compared to 35 years ago.
Yeah, so now a lot of the home incomes have 10x. Now you're able to take that money because you bought this house and like most likely it's already paid for. You're able to take that money and help out your children as well. And this is what a lot of people are doing is they saw what real estate was able to do for them. Now they're able to do it for family as well. Now, everybody doesn't have that privilege, but it's something that people
Yep.
do, and we're also going to talk on different ways that family members are able to help. Um, so let's talk about another stat where 30 used to be 31% of homeowners would get help from family, but now it's jumped up to 40%. So there is a very high amount of people that are getting help from family. Again, you talked kind of like a little bit on in the past. What do you feel like is happening now? Why do you think that number is going up?
I think that number is going up just because, when you look at Toronto, we're a world class city. If you want a great IT job, a great banking job, whatever type of job, government job, Toronto has it at higher levels than many a times compared to the suburbs, right? So a lot of people live in Toronto. They pay many a times to live in Toronto a good amount of rent,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they have good salaries, which allows them to qualify for a mortgage. But the hardest part, living in Toronto is the expenses on a monthly basis, right? You're talking transportation, food, everything is just really expensive.
So what do you think is harder? Do you think it's harder to maintain your monthly expenses, or do you think it's harder to maintain the monthly and save up at the same time? Like basically coming up with a down payment.
Exactly, that's the combination. Because even if you make six figures now, we're talking 100K. If you pay $3,000 in rent, this, that, and the other, you might have 500 bucks left, maybe 1,000 bucks left at the end of the month if you have to live alone, right? So if you really think about it, to get to 5% down, 10% down, it'll take you a very very long time, right? Even at 100K, 120K, 150K, it's really hard to do that. So although you can afford the monthly payment, so I see it online a lot. Everybody's like, Well, I pay $4,000 a month in rent, but when I go to the bank to try to get a $3,000 mortgage, they decline me, right? Because they don't have the down payment. It's the number has jumped. Why? Because people, if you need 50, 70K, you might have 10, 20K, but that extra, we see with our clients too, especially first time home buyers, the parents again who bought a home 30 years ago, definitely paid off or have a large amount of equity, can pull out some money and help out their children.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about like kind of what you talked about. Somebody they're already paying $4,000 a month. They're looking to get a mortgage that's going to be about $3,000 a month, and maybe they don't have, like you said, maybe they only have 10 or $20,000. Now, what a family member can do is they can become they can help you. They can gift you. One of the things that you're able to do
Yep.
is you're able to gift, and if you need to get a higher amount, you can have someone be like a co-signer as well. And again, this is something that just that it's going to go off of their income as well. Now you have dual income. Maybe they're able to get a little bit of help with the down payment also. So you combine those two, and now you're actually saving money, going from something where you had paying 4,000 in rent to now you're only paying $3,000 a month, and it was all because you were able to get that help to get into the door. And this is why we always talk about the hardest thing is getting your foot in the door, because getting the first
Yep.
place is always the hardest. Getting the second place is much easier than getting the first place. Getting the third place is easier than getting the second place. So it's all about getting your foot in the door and getting that first one. And if you have if you're privileged enough to be able to have family members, somebody that can help you, I mean that's a great way to get in.
Yeah. So even, that you mentioned, like again, let's say someone has 10, 20K, they need to come up with just example. We always like to use simple numbers. The 50K, right? The parent can gift them on paper that 30K and the bank will accept it. A lot of people are worried like, hey, if my mom lends me, my dad lends me, whatever, my brother lends me 30 to 40K, the bank won't approve it. Actually, they will. Okay. And again, sometimes we have clients who are like, hey, Saf, like I'm pre approved for 500K, but my home that I'm looking for whatever reason, it's 750, but I don't qualify, so I'm going to wait it out. Again, like you mentioned, it's if you're a parent, could be a sibling, a friend can help you co-sign on the property. That will allow, the down payment plus that will allow you to now get to your 750. Like you said, it's the initial one. Get yourself into the door, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you could figure out the monthlies after that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say like don't think it's just like it's just you or it's just
Oh yeah.
one or two people. Like one in six like people are use they use a cosigner. They've used the cosigner to help them get their property. So this is happening all the
Often,
time,
yep.
everywhere, all the time, and even me and Safras, we see this all the time. It's like very normal in Toronto, in Ontario. Again, so if you have the opportunity to do something like this is something that you can do. And in the future, maybe you're going to be able to pay it back, but maybe it's just something that your family just wants to be able to help you with. But I do think if you have that option, it's a great way to kind of take a step and get ahead and get in the door, because it's we say it in all of our videos. The most important thing and the hardest thing to do is get your foot in the door. After that, you can push the door open.
Yeah, and some people think, oh, like let's say I bought this property with my mom or my dad or whoever, they're stuck to this property for the rest of the life of the property as long as you own it, and that's not true. If you sign a 3-year mortgage, a 5-year mortgage, when the renewal comes, you get a maybe a better job now, or certain things in financially have changed for the better, you can refinance that property at the basically similar situation, the 30 years amortization, and pull that person out. So you can remove, your parent, your sibling, whatever. It is 100% doable. Some people have that concern, right? Like whatever it may be. But again, 3, 5 years term typically, you could just refinance yourself, have them out. Thank you for being on title. So they're not stuck for 30 years. It's a shorter term period. If you say 3 years or 5 year, you refinance them out, you were able to get in, maybe build some equity, have a ideally a the difference, like saving on rent, this, that, and the other. So within 3 to 5 years, get them out, everybody's happy.
Yeah, yeah. And now as parents, like me, I have my daughter is coming soon. Safraz already has his daughter. Now you can think like a parent, but for your girl when she's gets older, like is this something like that you would want to do or
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, right? Like, both of us, I don't think we had much help uh, getting into the game. But yeah, now that, we, like you said, the word privilege, it is a privilege to be able to say, like, hey, in 25, 30 years, ideally when my house is paid off, when she does get a good job and she's ready to buy, if we're already talking about properties like hitting $1 million, like close to the average, I can only imagine what it's going to be in 30 years. I know for a fact that they will need help,
mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, there's multiple ways to do it. We've seen some people say, you know what, I'll co-sign, or you know what, I'll give you the 50, 100K. It's like a lot of people I've been reading about and looking into it. It's, you get your inheritance at someone else's end of life.
Yeah.
But by the time that happens, typically, like you might be 50, 60, you might be yourself 70 years old.
Yeah.
And, at 65, 70,
you don't need it.
you don't need it as much. So a
Yeah.
lot of people, they call it front loading your inheritance. A lot of our clients, like their grandma or their grandma, I've had many clients, their grandmas are like, hey, you know what? You need this money today to buy a property. Here you go. This is your inheritance. We're all set and done. So I would definitely, like, now as a parent, if you asked me 2 years ago, it would be a different conversation. But now as a parent, I'm definitely open to it.
Yeah, no, even for me, for like 100%, I'm not someone who's like, hey, give your kids everything.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Yeah.
not like that. But for something like a house, this is something that's like very difficult, and I see the difficulty all the time, but I also see the benefit that you get from it. And something like that, I would have no problem. And I already know like this is something I'm gonna do. I will help my future children
Yeah.
to be able to get a property just because it is hard. And once you do get in, you're just in a much better place in life, and it helps you to be able to make better decisions in the future and to be able to start building your wealth.
Yeah, I think another stat we read is you have a substantially higher chance of buying a home if your parents are homeowners. I think it's a big number. And again, it goes to show, like, if you remove you as a person, you just say, your parent is the one to buy the first home. Now you're thinking about it when they help you. This is like their second. So as you can imagine, it becomes way easier because they've been able to enjoy the appreciation of the home for 25, 30 years, but also the pay down, right? Like, they've been able to pay down 75% of the equity. A lot of that exists so that when they get into the second, the third, if they have multiple kids, it's not just one many a times, right? It's one, two, three kids. It's a lot easier to kind of get in the game, get your foot in the door. But naturally, it is hard to have that funding. And that's where all of this comes into play. And it's like, in my culture, it's a little different, where it's kind of like, when I was younger, at least, it was a little more taboo to talk about, hey, it's almost like we're supposed to take care of our parents, so why are we asking them for money, right? But now I think even my culture, especially in Toronto, have opened up to understand, like, hey, yeah, thank God I was able to buy a home when I came to Canada 25, 30 years ago. And it's easy to say, hey, you should just do what I did and buy a home for $100,000, but it's not the nature. And now we're seeing a lot more, like, even in my culture, like, the parents are helping 50, 100K, whatever it may be, so that their kids can get a good start in buying a home.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, we had a client who reached out to us and wanted to know like, hey, if I'm getting money from my parents, am I able to do this? So we wanted to talk about it and help you kind of understand how you're able to do it, what others are doing as well. If you want to go deeper and find out really kind of how to structure it and what's the best way to do it, because every situation is different, click the link right below, set up a time for us to talk, just like a discovery call, and from there we'll be able to dive deeper into everything. But do you have any last piece of advice or last thoughts before we go?
I would say a lot more people than what it seems on social media, in the news. A lot of our clients are doing,
Mm-hmm.
especially first time home buyers.
Yeah.
Don't be embarrassed. Don't be shy. It's not a negative thing. Like, think about it. Toronto's so expensive. Have the conversation with us. See where we can kind of help you talk to the right people and get you into your first door.
Yeah, yeah. I would always say that. Just always remember, and when it comes to real estate, the hardest thing is getting your foot into the door. If you have an opportunity to get your
Yep.
foot in the door, do it. Right now we're seeing some of the best prices that we've seen since like 2017, 2018, and
Yeah.
even back then, like people say it still to this day, oh man, I wish I bought in 2017. Well, right now we have those prices, and go watch our other video about how we're getting our clients insane deals in this market.
Yep.
But again, if you like this video, share it with somebody. Maybe you want to share it, show it to your parents, anybody in your family, or if you know somebody who is in a certain position like this, share it with them. Give us a thumbs up if you like it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.